I know that all of you are scared when it comes to delivering a mandibular complete denture. Why? Because of the loss of retention. I have often heard undergraduates telling that I don't want to do this complete denture. I cannot give a proper retention. Then, what is that one option that you should actually give to your patients? Complete denture can actually have retention, okay? Don't mistake me. But one thing that can overcome this fear of yours is implant-supported overdenture. So hello everyone, I'm Dr. Riddhi Lalan, and today we shall be learning about implant-supported overdenture in this series of overdenture. So let's just understand that why do we actually want to opt for implant-supported overdenture. First thing is, whenever there is inadequate retention from your conventional complete denture, you want to give overdenture. Second thing, patient with poor oral and muscular coordination. If they cannot actually have good coordination, you might want to switch it to overdenture. Patient with hyperactive gag reflex. You have to eliminate the palate. And if you eliminate the palate, I know that retention is going to be compromised. So if I am giving up on my posterior palatal seal area, I actually use implants to regain the same thing. Then patients with parafunctional habit and patients seeking more comfort with the use of denture. So these are the indications wherein I would want to use implant-supported overdenture. But I cannot place implants in certain conditions, like patient when they have recent myocardial infarction, because placing an implant might actually just lead to direct transfer of bacteria into the bloodstream. Generalized secondary osteoporosis. So if the bone condition is compromised, I cannot. Uncontrolled diabetes, it is directly going to hamper your healing process. Renal disorders, your radiotherapy if it's in progress, and heavy smokers. One thing, smokers do not actually have good prognosis for implant because it impairs with your healing process. So this is one of the things. So we have just discussed about this definition in the previous lecture, and we'll be moving to the advantages over the conventional denture. First thing, it improves retention, stability, support, aesthetics, at the same time prevents bone loss, and also improves the chewing efficiency, improves speech. At the same time, adhesives go out of option because implants are now going to take care of it. Psychologically, patient feels that my denture is very fit in the mouth, and it reduces the prosthesis size. At the same time, it's more acceptable and comfortable for the patient because there's no palate. So they feel, okay, I have some amount of senses, I can touch the palate. It's good thing. So this can be advantageous. But as we all know, implant itself is going to be costlier. Technique sensitive, definitely you have to plan the position. We talked about the bar attachment, right? Now bars can be given when they are absolutely or relatively parallel to each other. Or you have to go for your angled abutments. So it has to be very technique sensitive. It requires more amount of interarch space. It is slightly bulkier and at the same time requires maintenance, because I would not want Peri-Implantitis to happen because it's underneath the denture. Patient cannot actually clean the food. The food gets accumulated, leading to secondary problems. So there has to be proper maintenance that needs to be taken care of. Talking about treatment. So what are the most common implant attachments? It's either ball, locator, or the bar. Now let's just understand what are the treatment plan overview. First, you actually have a proper medical and dental history evaluated. Myocardial infarction episode has recently happened, don't go for it. Uncontrolled diabetes, don't risk placing the implant. So you take your proper medical history, you do all the necessary blood investigations. Once that is done, you actually talk to the patient about their requirement. Psychologically aiding the patient, at the same time you assess the anatomy well. Which area has good quality of bone, you perform CBCT for the same thing. And then you go for your implant and prosthesis selection based upon the type of bone that is present, the quality and the quantity of bone. Then let's talk about the sites. So now implant has been divided into 5 types. OD1, OD2, 3, which is further divided into A and B, OD4 and 5. So as the name suggests, there are basically 5 sides, okay, ranging from A to E. When I talk about OD1, it means single implant that are placed independently. So 2 implants in position of B and D that are placed independently. OD2 means 2 implants that is joined by a bar. Again, it can be B and D that is joined by the bar. Implant OD3A means 3, A, C and E. B means B, C and D. So I just want you to refer to this diagram. Now there was A present here, E present here. So if I connect A, C and E, the most extreme and the central, it becomes ODA. And if I just have B, C and D, the one that is present here, it becomes OD3B. So if you want to remember this, always remember 3B actually has B included in it. Correct? And then talking about OD4. So we eliminate the central and use the 4 implants that is connected by a bar. And subsequently OD5 uses all 5 of them. So the next question that I would like to ask all of you is, after knowing this, what do you think is the minimum quantity of implant that I require? It is 2. There has to be at least 2 implants that are present. So let's just quickly solve the MCQ. A 67-year-old completely edentulous patient complains that his mandible complete denture repeatedly dislodges during speech and chewing. The dentist decides to place 2 implants in the interforaminal region. So what is interforaminal region here? It is B and D, correct? And use of attachment so the denture can snap onto it while remaining removable by the patient. So what is the advantage here? It eliminates the need of denture base? No, it does not. It converts the prosthesis into fixed bridge? No, it does not. It increases the denture's retention and stability. It prevents the need for future relining. Now this is very subjective. It will depend on how exactly does the ridge resorption occur. There might be a chance that relining may be required. So the correct answer here is it increases the denture retention and stability. So let's just understand the flashcard now. Where are implants usually placed for mandibular implant-supported overdenture? So we did discuss about the 5 positions, right? And we have got to know that they are placed in the interforaminal region because the bone quality is good and favorable. So it will be that interforaminal region which will be divided into 5. C being at the midline, AB on one side, D and E on the other. So I hope you had fun learning this. And if you actually want to create your own notes, the app also has this feature wherein you can write additional things. So what I want you to do is go access the mind map today and start making your own notes on attachments in implant-supported overdenture. I hope you learned something new today and I'll see you in the next video.